It seems that a lot of folks are getting estate plan, right? And, an estate plan is more than just a will, okay? An estate plan, a comprehensive estate plan, looks at all of your assets, the interaction of the tax code with them, the interaction of the rules and regulations with what you have, your family members, dynamics, and all of the things, okay? And so today I wanted to come on here and answer, I want to say 5 questions that I get asked, or 5 myths that I hear about. I want to debunk them for you all today. So thank you for joining me. I hope you're having a great day. We'll try to make this fast. I know it's your lunch break, but the first myth that I hear about all the time, okay, is that if you have a trust, you don't pay taxes. Unfortunately, that's not true, guys. Okay. And perhaps if you have a certain type of trust, you can buffer or diminish the amount of taxation that occurs. But the saying of if you have a trust, you don't pay taxes is a myth. And we really have to move beyond that and stop spreading this untruth, because it hurts people. Okay. As I've shared before with you all, a trust is an agreement, okay, between yourself generally as the settlor or the beginner, the grantor of the trust, and the person managing your assets, which is called the trustee. There are a lot of different types of trust, okay, and all trusts are not tax buffering or tax strategy trusts. Some trust people do just for asset protection in terms of they don't want the assets to be owned by them individually, so they have it in a trust. For other people, they do a trust because they have assets in multiple states. For other more complicated asset plannings and strategies, we may do a trust to help pay off the potential tax liability that one may have, right? But the idea that a trust on its own, without us knowing what type of trust it is, what is the strategy or the reason behind the trust, and whether or not it is a trust to address the tax implication for someone's estate, and saying that just in a vacuum, it's untrue. There's no way that the government would allow you to just have a trust and then you have a taxable estate and then you don't have to pay taxes, right? So just because you have a trust does not mean you get to not pay taxes. So let's just take care of this myth first and foremost. That's the number 1, okay? Number 2, the second one that I hear is, can I just transfer my assets into an LLC and avoid taxes? No. Okay. Sometimes the transfer itself may create a taxable issue. And as I shared before with you all, I am licensed in Maryland, DC, and Florida, and the rules are different. Okay. Sometimes you may decide that you want to transfer a rental property into an LLC. That's generally done for some asset protection. So i.e., if you get sued, you want to make sure only the LLC is sued, not your personal assets, right? But the transfer itself, depending on, 1, how those assets were titled and how the LLC is formed, whether it's a sole member LLC, a multi-member LLC, how many members there are in there, may create a tax issue. So it's really important that before we just, move things around between whether they're owned by an LLC or yourself individually and back and forth, that you really seek the counsel of an attorney to ensure that you are doing it well, that you understand the implication of it, and if you're okay with it, right, that you understand the implication of it. People ask me, the third one is, people ask me, and I'm going to consider this number 3 and 4. How much can I pass on to someone without paying taxes, right? And so how much can you pass on to someone without paying taxes depends on where you live. I will tell you on the federal level, the federal estate tax exemption, meaning you can pass up to this amount of money federally on the federal level without paying taxes right now, is $12.92 million. Okay. Most people don't have $12.92 million. However, some people do, right? And so if you have over $12.92 million in assets, there's probably going to be estate and tax planning done for you to ensure that your assets are, that the assets over the 12.92 are buffered, or there's some sort of tax strategy. Okay. Also, gifting tax. Okay. How much can you gift to someone per year? That number has been changing. Right now it's $17,000. So you can pass on up to $17,000 to someone else without having to pay taxes on it, right? On a gift tax. Sometimes it makes sense to pass things to somebody while they're living. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's an advantage of passing things to, assets to someone after they have died, after the principal, the person who owned the assets. Sometimes it makes sense to pass it during your life, because the implication of that would be that you are passing, something less than 17,000. So probably you're not going to have a tax implication on that. And so it may make sense for you to do that. Okay. And then the last questions that I get asked, and number 5. So I said I was going to talk about 5. So we're at 5 already, and we're doing great timing. The number 5 question is, what about a non-US citizen? So the US tax code taxes everything that you have in the US if you're a non-US citizen. So if you have a house here, you may be taxed upon your passing. The amount that is exempted for a non-US citizen or non-US resident is $60,000. That's a little bit of money. If you have a house, the house is probably worth less than $60,000, right? So if you are a legal permanent resident, or you're here and you are on some other type of immigration status, and you anticipate that because of the status, you may be here a long time, and you should be doing estate planning. There are vehicles and strategies that assist us with thinking about how the distribution can happen, a more tax sensitive or more tax advantaged reality. But that is something that really needs to be discussed with an estate planning and a tax specialist prior to your passing, right? To make sure that that happens. At this point, I see that somebody's requesting to be in my live video. I'm happy to have you join. If there are any questions about taxes, because this is April and I hope you filed your tax return, your income tax, as of now, I'm going to invite this person to see if they have any question. I'm happy to answer it in the chat. I think my bonus one, and I'm going to give you a bonus one because we have 1 more minute before my 10 minutes are up. I tell you, I love to be brief. One of the assets that a lot of folks have is retirement assets, right? And so when we are advising clients, we have to look at obviously all of their assets, right? People have houses, they have life insurance, they have retirement, they may have cryptocurrency, on all of the other types of assets. We really have to look at the tax implication. Retirement assets may trigger income tax. So as you know, thanks for joining us. As you know, when you decide to have a retirement asset, right, a 401k plan, most of them are tax deferred. That means that you pay pre-tax dollars into this retirement asset, with the understanding that when you're starting to withdraw it, right, you're going to pay the taxes on it. There's also the implication that if the person, if the principal, i.e., let's say it's my retirement account, and I start receiving my required minimum distribution at age 72, and then I pass having some assets in retirement, and I have a designated person to get it, there's probably going to be a tax implication for that person, the beneficiary. That conversation ought to be had as well. And so when we are doing estate planning, we want to be sure that tax is a conversation that's happening. The breadth and depth of your assets is a conversation that's happening. And the interaction of that asset to the tax code is a conversation that's happening. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. If there are no questions, the time is 12:10, but I really wanted to thank you all for joining me. Taxes and their interaction to your estate planning. I hope that you found this chat informative. If there are other topics that you'd love to hear in the future, I'd love to talk to you all about it. I hope you're having a great Friday and take care.